Yeah, I moved the slide ahead because our next slide was actually about this. That it's when we talk about our organizing strategy, we have to recognize that it's actually 51 organizing strategies because we have to organize in every state plus DC, and every single one of them has a completely different set of election laws. Chris was just talking about how they have a semi-open primary where he just walks in and says, give me the ballot that I want. Pennsylvania, where I live, is a closed primary state. You have to register ahead of time with a particular party, and then you're locked into voting in that primary, right?
California is a jungle primary.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's in. All
right.
parties run against each other in the primary, and the top two go into the.
Yeah, so like speaking of donations and stuff, like we have supporters that register Democrat, but they don't really want to be Democrats. They want to be Greens, but because Pennsylvania is a closed state, they want to vote in primaries, so they get pressured into registering as Democrats. But they don't really want to vote for Democrats. They want to vote for Greens. So we have to build our party and run more Greens for office. But until then, people register as Democrats. And it's part of the complication with U.S. election law that really there is no federal U.S. election law in some sense. It's all up to the states about whatever they want to do. And that causes complications in every state. So we have green parties in every state, in principle, to deal with this, right? So every state party organizes in the way that makes sense for their particular state, depending on what kind of primary they have, what kind of registration they have, what kind of laws they have. There's some states that, like, if you want to be in the, I think it's like Arizona or something, right? Like, if they want to be on the ballot next year, they have to start getting signatures now on a petition, like a year ahead of time. They don't even know who their candidate's going to be yet, but they are required by law to start collecting signatures now. Versus some other states, like New York, they just increased to 45,000 signatures that you need in like a month or something, right? Like it's a very short window.
And Howie likes to say right now it's worse than running for running in Putin's Russia.
Right. And then compare that to, I think it was Oklahoma, that you don't even need petitions. You just have to give them a flat $35,000.
Literally bribing your way onto the ballot.
Right. So, like, every state has a different challenge that they have to rise to.
Or you look at Vermont, and in Vermont, in odd years, you do it by town meeting.
Yeah.
10 meetings in 10 towns, you get on the ballot as a minor party. If you do 20 meetings in 20 towns, you get on the ballot as a major party, right? The bars are so different, and it's intentional, right? This is done intentionally to make it incredibly hard for third parties to build up as a national organization. Yeah. Because your national organization has to divide itself 50 plus ways. It's why even the libertarians who have corporate money backing them haven't been able to overcome this, right? Even with money, it's hard. And it's made intentionally hard in a completely bipartisan, cooperation on this issue. Mm-hmm. And when we do see states change their laws to make it easier, it's almost always because one of the third parties has gotten on the ballot, right? So what happened in Texas before the 2020 election was that the libertarians were ballot qualified. So the Texas Republicans changed the law in a way that also put the Greens on the ballot. Because they said if we're going to have it goes into the spoiler theory, right? If we're going to be spoiled by the libertarians, then we better make sure that the Democrats are spoiled by the Greens. And so when we see these, and the same thing happened in North Carolina, where they changed how they did their laws between the 2016 and the 2020 election, right? It's in response. It's almost always when things get better in response to one of us doing better.
Yeah. Yeah, they pick and choose state by state, where they'll say in one state, "Oh, you don't matter, we don't have to worry about you," and then another state, "Oh, you're a big deal, and we have to make sure that you're not on the ballot," And so, like, they play all these political games with us, and we have to overpower it by just simply out organizing them. That's but not simply, right? It's not easy, but
incredibly complexly out organizing.
But that is the answer, right? Organizing community power from the bottom up. And we can overcome all of these challenges in every state if we organize from the bottom up in every state, where folks know what challenges they face in their particular city or state. So this is a challenge that the Green Party faces, that we need more volunteers and more money to help get on the ballot. And that's also one thing, like Chris was saying, while we of course absolutely support the idea of having a leftist unity coalition, and we especially work with lots of other leftist party organizations on actions, protests and things like that. Because of the ballot access laws, it makes it difficult to support lots of different national parties, and so we hope folks will consider working with us to be kind of the big national ballot line, so to speak. And what's interesting about the Green Party, which is actually our next couple of slides here, we're almost done, is that the Green Party is actually not a single party. It's these 51 state parties formed together into a federation. And so because it's a federation of state parties, those I think we'll probably skip a couple of these, right? Because we're running out of time. Yeah, so we'll go there. Yeah, there we go. Thanks.